οποία είναι ωραίο να τα ακούμε, είναι εξαιρετικά χρήσιμα, έχουν τεράστια επίπτωση στο να κάνουν τη διαφορά από έναν μέτριο project manager σε έναν εξαιρετικό project manager. Και με αυτό θα ήθελα να προσκαλέσω για την πρώτη παρουσίαση τον Merv και τον Nigel. I would like to invite Merv and Nigel for the first masterclass of today. Please welcome Merv and Nigel. Guys, thank you. George, thank you. Stuff like.
Thank you. Okay, Merv. We're ready to start this. I don't think the audience can see us at the moment, so I think we're fine. Just going to check out the PowerPoint at this stage. Oh, has that gone black and white?
Yeah. Oh, crumbs.
Oh, Merv. Merv.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is... Oh, yeah.
We're going to have to go to our control panel and let's see what's going on here. Okay, Merv, which webinar is this? What we're doing today?
Oh, something about standing delivery?
Right, okay, yeah, got it.
Oh,
okay. Wow. Let's just check the audience. Merv, they are there.
They're there.
They are there, right, okay. What we need to do though, Merv, I think we need to switch the audience on.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, audience is on, good. Right, what happens next? Oh, anticipation. Anticipation is going. I think we better go for this, Merv. We got to go for this. So let's go for lights.
Lights, yeah.
Camera. No. Hang on. I think my stress level's going through the roof here, Merv. I don't really know what we're doing. I think
Nigel.
We need a bit of volume from the audience. So let me turn the volume up on the audience. Can you hear the audience yet, Merv?
No, still very quiet, Nigel.
They're all still. Can we hear the audience?
Okay. Yeah, we're ready to go.
That was okay. I think though, Merv, we need a bit more. We need a bit. Let's try and crank it a little bit more to the right-hand side. There it goes. There it goes. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Right, Merv, we're ready. So
let's go.
How about technical proficiency, Merv? Are you comfortable?
I think so.
Okay, well, let's go for it. No. Oh, Merv, what's happening now?
Nigel.
Let's just go for it. We're going to have to go for it, Merv. Oh, no! PowerPoint failure, Merv. PowerPoint failure. We're going to have to switch to Mentimeter. What are we going to do?
Let's do that.
Let's do that. Okay,
then.
Right. Let's get moving. I'll hand over to you. We're in a bit of a failure situation at the moment. I'm sure everyone has never experienced this, but...
Okay.
We're back online?
We are.
Excellent.
We're good to go.
I don't think they noticed that, Merv. We can just rewind and away we go.
Right. Okay, your host for today. So let's get you guys warmed up. And in order to do that, let's pump up the volume a little bit.
And if you can just stand and have a bit of a jig and get a bit of movement, to get a bit of energy in the room here this morning. Come on your feet, guys. Come on, let's have some fun. I know it's early in the morning.
Come on. Yes.
Can I have a bit more volume, Merv? Is there more volume on that?
Fantastic.
Is it finished?
Yeah. We'll leave it there.
Okay. Thank you so much. You want to get a bit of energy, a bit of movement, something different in there this morning?
All right. Okay. Right. Let's move on. Not a great start, but let's see if we can recover it. So let's talk about the talent triangle next. I guess you're all familiar with the talent triangle. Well-versed. There's PMI people. 3 sides to the triangle. Business acumen, ways of working, and power skills. All of them equally important. And today we're going to spend some time on power skills. And well, let's do that. Let's go to a quiz.
So phones out, guys. Merv, do you want to put the QR code on?
Oh yes. Yeah, let's. Okay.
And Merv was talking about the talent triangle with the, if you like, the three axes of it. And of course, power skills, some are more important than others. We're really going to be focusing on the power skills here today. I want to get as many contributors into the quiz as possible. There is a prize at the end, or there are prizes. I think we can make a roll for this, Merv, to get it started.
Okay, let's go. Answer quickly to get more points. Okay.
Now, everyone will have read this, right?
Let's see how we're doing. Against the clock, as we know. What have we got?
Is it problem solving? Is it communication? Or is it strategic thinking?
Hey. Looks pretty good. And I think we're in the right place. And I think we're about to do the right presentation, Nigel.
I think you're right, Merv.
So,
Should we move on? So let's see how that shakes. So we've got a few questions, a bit like Lorenzo's session yesterday. So we've got a bit of a clear leader.
goodness me.
Oh, Agolini, rather, sorry. We'll come back to revisit that.
Okay, let's think about the aims of our masterclass. We've got three. For you to communicate confidently in a project environment, to present powerfully to maximize your impact. And we're going to show you how to use some AI tools, both to evaluate and also to create actionable insights. So that's what we're hoping to achieve in the next hour or so. So, Nigel.
So I'm glad you chose that communication was the most important power skill, otherwise this presentation would have nowhere to go, frankly. But it's not just our view, it is the view of the PMI, their 2023 report. They talk about power skills, in particular communication, critical to success, cited as the #1 global skill, not just local or national, and you're much more likely to achieve your project goals, outcomes, benefits, uses, use whatever term you like, in order to achieve those. Now, what we want to do as part of this presentation this morning is in two parts. Clearly, and we've sort of demonstrated it a little bit already, but we want to try and give you a few skills and tips on how to present, not just as presence on a stage, but equally how to use visual aids effectively. So we're going to split it into two parts, and we're going to try and answer the question, what we think is in the intersection. When you bring these two worlds together, what actually happens? So first and foremost, we're going to start with speechcraft. So I just want to tell a bit of a personal story here. So it's my personal journey. For those of you that were here yesterday, I revealed myself to be an introvert. So hands up, fellow introverts. Excellent, good to see you all. A few probably didn't put your hands up there, but never mind. We're all in good company. So I was very much introverted, and in a 4-year journey, I went from, I'll show you in the next slide, crumbling in front of a project sponsor at a difficult steering committee meeting to 4 years later standing on the stage in Las Vegas at PMI Global Summit just post-COVID. And if someone had explained that experience to me or that journey that I would have, I'd find it very difficult to believe. But the only thing that changed, because this became my Mount Everest, was my desire to want to change and do things differently. So this is an AI reconstruction, albeit with a little less blood. I'm sure we've all been in those situations, but you know, the knuckles on my hands were the colour of bone. You know, my heartbeat was palpitating. I needed Lorenzo's app to work out what my stress levels were. I got perspiration, you know, the shivers, all the things which, you know, the butterflies in your stomach weren't in unison like Olympic gymnasts. They were in random formation. The fear was palpable. And as like at the start of this, we tried to recreate a PowerPoint failure. Who's had that when your slides don't work? You forget your lines, you lose your script, you don't know where you're going. Terrible, terrible situation. And then roughly 4 years to the day, it went from that to this. And this actually was in Atlanta in 2023. If anyone was at Global Summit there, This is actually a truncated picture because to the left and right, believe me, there are thousands of people in this room, okay? But it just proves that if you put application and desire and it's something you want to do to become a better communicator, it is possible to achieve. And I really want to just talk through what it is that made that actual transformation. So, has anyone ever heard of the organisation Toastmasters International? Okay, so it's a public speaking organisation. It's got a global footprint, very similar to PMI, and indeed in the UK we have 2 Toastmasters clubs dedicated to that art. But Toastmasters teaches 4 distinct things, okay? So the first one is about speaking. Elements of finding confidence or overcoming fear actually become byproducts of actually just doing it, okay? So you go along to these sessions on a fortnightly basis and you learn certain things about speechcraft. And it might be about how to move across the stage, it might be how to use gestures or facial expressions, or even power of pause and vocal variety, things which really elevate how you communicate and speak. So it's brilliant for that. It's also a phenomenal organisation for leadership because very much like PMI, it is at the national level and it's also at the international level, and there are volunteer opportunities, as in with PMI as well, to go off and organise events, conferences, workshops, webinars, and really use those leadership skills to organise and deliver. So many synergies in conjunction with what we do in the world of project management. And the other great thing that it does, it makes you a better listener because it's fantastic for feedback and evaluation. Now, we all know that feedback, what is it, Merv? What's feedback?
Feedback is the breakfast of champions.
Has anyone ever heard that quote from a guy called Ken Blanchard? It's one of my favourite ones. But it's true. You get feedback, really great feedback, and it helps you improve. And so just to prove the point about how well we were all listening yesterday, I think we're going to go to the second quiz question here, Merv, if you want to fire it up.
Let's do that. So I'll put the code on again, just so you can catch up. Not quite sure why that's gone missing. How many people we got? 65, 70 players ready? Okay, it's against the clock again. How well were you listening yesterday? So here we go. Countdown. Look at your advice. In Phil Driver's presentation on Prub Logic, what does Prub stand for? What does it stand for? See, you're answering really quickly. Well over 100 results in, 120 in. And what have we got? Oh, I shall be talking to Phil later. But the answer is...
It does prove the point about listening, doesn't it? Or active listening.
It does indeed. Oh, well, there we are. That's the first one. Okay, let's have a look.
I'm sorry, Merv.
Oh, okay. We're both pressing at the same time. It's a double act, and it's getting better. So, Agent X9. Agent X9 has it.
It'll start to spread out as we get through the questions.
Okay. Does anyone want to announce them, say it as Agent X9? Well done.
Secret Agent X9 is in the room.
Okay. What about Dan AG?
Okay.
Okay.
Not feeling the pressure
Out
just
there.
yet.
All
But
right.
the prize is worth winning. I have to tell you, no expense has been spared. Okay, absolutely none for the prizes. So just moving on then. So the fourth pillar of what Toastmasters is really great at is exactly the same as what we've got here in this room today. It's about community. It's about community of like-minded people. And what happens when you get like-minded people together? You'll tend to rise as boats do in a harbour when the tide comes in. You get carried up and away, and you tend to grow a lot more. Another one of my favourite quotes is from a guy called, can't remember his name actually, but his quote is that you are the average of the 5 people that you keep the most company with. And I'd like to add to that, including yourself. And the name will come to him as we go through the presentation. But I think that's true, isn't it? If you put yourself in the collection of really great people, that can make you rise up. I think the opposite is also true. So you have to choose your friends and colleagues carefully, but that is a true statement. But speaking, leading, listening, and community, 4 great synergies from the Toastmasters world, which equally apply to our world of being a project professional in the project management discipline. And I mentioned earlier that actually in PMI UK, we have 2 Toastmasters clubs. One is online. It's called Changemakers. I formed it 5 years ago, just after or just during COVID, because 60% of what a project professional does is all remote. And it was that way before COVID, and it's even probably that or more since. And the communication styles and how you present and how you speak is different, subtly different through a camera lens on Zoom or Teams as it is to standing on stage here. And to learn those tips, tricks, and techniques, Toastmasters is really the place to go. And we've got some signposts here in terms of where you can get that information. And our next meeting for UK Changemakers, I think there's going to be a link on the phone screen if you're following this, but we'll provide it in the post information to you all. There's an online club which you can join. It's free of charge if you want to join it for the first 3 or 4 meetings. And then fundamentally, because I know you guys love all your coffee in Greece, yeah? The actual subscription to Toastmasters UK, which is actually global, is less than the price of 1 cup of coffee per week. So hopefully that is better value or as good value. And I just did a bit of a search before I got here, actually. So we're in central Athens. You can see on the screen there's probably about 10 or 11 clubs, probably some within striking distance of where we are right here, right now. This organisation was the difference that made the difference for me, sitting where you are, to now standing where I am here. And I have to say, it's really great being up here to share my journey with you, because it is possible if it's something you really want to do, it is achievable. And there's also clubs in other local cities in and around the Athens area. And once you become a member of Toastmasters, you've got a passport to 150 countries and over 17,000 clubs worldwide. So if you visit the UK or anywhere in Europe, you'd be welcome at any one of their club meetings as well. And again, there's a link in there. We'll give it in the post-session details where you want to know more. There's a number of things you can do. You can just go to your local club and find out, or you can reach out to myself and Merv. More than happy to talk you through that.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a Toastmasters speech and see what we can learn from that. So the speech is called Hello, Paul, and it was given by Paul Stern at our other Toastmasters club. And that was given in February of this year. So the Toastmasters rule, just to give you a little bit of context, the speech must be between 5 and 7 minutes for this particular speech type. And that's controlled by a set of traffic lights. So much like you've got here. So you start with a green light at 5 minutes, you get an amber light at 6, and at 7 minutes, then you get a red light. And there's a 30-second grace period, and at the end of that, a bell is rung, physical, or you're kind of moved off the stage, but that's it. So your speech has to be within those parameters. And when you do a speech, it's typically to complete some sort of project or test out a set of skills. Things like vocal variety and use of gestures is a common one. So I want you to watch this speech. You haven't actually got Paul, and then you've got the timer next to them, but you'll get a flavour for it. And just form your own opinion, do your own evaluation of that. So let me just play the speech for you.
Paul will be delivering the third speech of his presentation, Mastery Pathway. It's Introduction to Vocal Variety and Body Language. And Paul asked me to specifically pay attention to his vocal variety. The title of the speech is Hello, Paul. Paul, the stage is yours.
Sorry about that. Trigger memories. We all have the capability of experiencing these. They're those sensory inputs, be it from your sight, sound, nose, or mouth, or they could be thoughts which suddenly engage past experiences and memories and bring them to the forefront of your mind. These can be good. An aroma. It reminds us of that enjoyable meal with family and friends. Or we can be transported back to that romantic dance with someone that we were smitten to by just a couple of notes of music. But of course, they can also have a negative side. I'm sure many of us have taken a whiff of a certain alcoholic beverage, reminded that they will never, ever taste that alcohol again. Southern Comfort being mine. But also there's the extremes. People who suffer PTSD are quite often having to relive terrible events. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests, my name is Paul Stern, and I'd like to take a moment just to share a recent memory trigger that I experienced not too long ago, and it had nothing to do with Southern Comfort. For context, I'm a freelance hydrographic surveyor. I have an agent who finds work for me, but like the saying says, you're only as good as your last job, and that is so true. Hello, Paul. 2 words. Words that a few of you used today when I joined online. Now, whilst those 2 words make up a sentence, they're not the sum of the meaning. For example, hello, Paul, is, well, nice and polite. Hello, Paul. Yeah, quite angry. Hello, Paul. Someone who's smitten with you. Hello, Paul. Oh, no, not you again. Hello, Paul. Earth to planet Paul, come in. I recently finished a job. I had spent the day in the office, QCing data and reports, going over charts, people's handwritten notes. 12 hours, and I was ready to go back to the hotel. As I walked past the operation manager's office, a chap who I know really well and is very nice, he called out, hello, Paul. I suddenly stepped into a time machine and I was transported back years to Angola. On a drilling rig where we were working, we had to place a drill string, which is 150 mils in diameter, into a box on the seabed measuring 1 meter squared. It was in 3,000 meters of water, and at the time, that was at the forefront of technology. As things would happen, everything was going wrong, or as they call it, sod's law. We had a client who was the absolute pure definition of the Peters principle, someone who had been promoted to their maximum level of incompetence. As we worked hard addressing what was wrong, he would pace up and down. Do you know how much this rig is costing every day? Yes, $750,000. I could position this with my handheld GPS, which only costs $100. Why are we paying for you? Hey, you're the client. Please, if you want to do that, do it. I'll just jot it in the logbook and, yeah, I have no problem with that. To cut a long story short, after a few days, I had to go over his head and submit a formal complaint. I had a trainee with me, and the trainee was ill. He would jump at the smallest sounds. He wasn't eating. I had to look after him as well. See, I actually love jobs where things go wrong. I thrive in stressful environments, but I had to look after him. Well, the rep wasn't happy, and utilizing the old boys club, he stayed on board and we got kicked off. My trainee flew home and handed in his notice. 3 years of hard university, and he had had enough. He didn't want any more. This was only his first or second job. His mental health meant more to him than the paycheck, which I can understand. Me, I had to endure days of grilling by management. What had gone wrong? But what irked me was, as we were leaving the rig, he turned round, this rep turned round to me and said, "You better watch your back. You're in Angola, remember? You will never work in this industry again." Well, after I'd sorted out the management and we'd come to the agreement that we had done nothing wrong, I wanted another job, but there wasn't anything. Now, was that because his influence was so great that everything was drying up for me? Or was it just, it was a quiet period? I honestly don't know. But at the time, my mind was thinking, oh, crumbs, what have I done? You see, years before this, I'd met this rep before. He was on a survey vessel and he was as arrogant as he was the day on the rig. He would insult people, drive people up the wall, put a lot of stress on where it wasn't required, and in particular for the women, he made their life hell. So I complained. I complained to the vessel's master, who has overall authority when it comes to health and safety. And the vessel master kicked him off. Well, that day when I landed on the rig, and I stepped off the helicopter, and I stepped into the office, who should I see? This rep. And he looked at me and went, "Hello, Paul." And it wasn't a smitten hello, Paul. Thank you very much. And back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Well, thank you, Paul, for that speech. And you can see you've got an amber background. That speech took 6 minutes and 50 seconds. So the process at any Toastmasters Club meeting is you have, after a speech, you have an evaluation. And the evaluation also has traffic lights. So at 2 minutes, on comes the green light, 2.5 minutes, the amber light, and at 3 minutes, the red light. And evaluations are given in typically a fairly standard format about, you know, what you did well, what you might like to work on, and how you can typically stretch yourself. So someone will provide that evaluation that is then useful to Paul to essentially do his own development and useful to the wider audience. Now, what you can do with AI tools, and I'll show you this, is analyze the speech in the same way. So we have a tool that we created in Gemini. It's a gem. It allows us to do our speech evaluation. So in essence, we simply pop the YouTube link into there, and out comes a report. So we're going to take a look at that in just a moment and work through it. But of course, the report is actually more useful when you can spend a bit of time over it and actually discuss it with the speaker. So hopefully, by the magic of technology, Paul is about to join us on stage. So we haven't rehearsed this, but I believe it's going to work. And just like Phil joined us yesterday, then Paul will do the same. And what we'll do, we'll simply go through that speech with Paul and ask him a few questions about it. So let me just switch with Mentimeter. Let's go to this one. So here's the speech, "Hello, Paul," and I'm really hoping that he will arrive very shortly so that we can go through this together. But in essence, what you've got here is a summary, and we can look at it together in terms of the speech title. We have some information of the speech at a glance, and we have the qualifying time. I don't know whether our technicians can bring Paul in. Any kind of thumbs up or not yet? Anyway, so you can see there that we've actually got the speech at a glance. Hopefully you had a chance to read that. It was a speech that qualified within that time. Next, we have the speech structure. Let me just go full screen with this. And you can see in amongst that the way in which the speech is broken down. Structure is actually very important, and we learned that from Francisca yesterday, and you'll find out more about the triangle later, I know. But one of the things that Paul was telling me about is the speech is really about the core narrative. The core narrative is really related to the conflict. So you can see under conflict, you've got how he dealt with an incompetent and arrogant client representative who threatened Paul's career. If we go down a little bit further, what we're then starting to look at are things like, well, we've got the overall central motif, which is useful. The same words can carry the weight of a friendly greeting or a career-threatening ultimatum. And then, in true feedback style, we talk about what worked, what went well, and what you might want to look at and to improve. And what we did say is that we would eye contact. There's a good one. And eye contact, as you know, is very, very important. And it's easy to get distracted on a Zoom call. But here, we'll just take a look at let's go down a bit further. No, we'll pick up on eye contact there. So what worked in terms of eye contact? He maintained a consistent focus on the camera for virtual or hybrid delivery. Clearly it was virtual in that case, creating that sense of engagement. So it is possible to look through the camera, and the setup is important. And there the improvement activity continued to practice lens focus rather than looking at a screen on-screen participant tiles. And we've also got what worked. I don't know if you recall how Paul was framed within the stage. What worked was he was using his hands effectively to describe physical objects. For example, the drill string and the seabed box. And used leaning moments to emphasize the character integrity. And for Paul, some things he could improve: ensure the gestures within the frame of the webcam during high intensity moments. And I don't know if you recognize that he moved off to the side and we only saw part of him at one stage. So framing yourself is really important. And then we have an action plan. Can we just try once more, see if we can bring him back to see what he felt about the action plan? No? Okay. It's a shame. But again, Nigel demonstrated the first one in terms of mastering the pause. The pause can be very, very useful for emphasizing a particular point and for perhaps bringing the audience back on side. They stop and they listen in. And in the use of filler words, I don't know if you've come across filler words, ums and ahs, if you just simply put in a pause in there, it can actually help with that, so the clarity of the speaking. You've got step 2, dynamic pacing. Increase delivery speed during the chaos of the rig, and then slow down significantly during reflections on the trainee's departure. So you get the idea there. And then the circular conclusion. It's always good within a speech to come back to what you started with, to finish on that note. So explicitly link the final hello, Paul, back to the opening philosophy of managing daily triggers. So there we are. That's the feedback for Paul, and you can see above that what the audience can learn. So that's what we got out of the speech. I hope you found it valuable. And as I say, that's then what we immediately gave to Paul, but we can further interrogate the gem to go deeper into something, and a very useful tool, I would say. So I think with that, let's come back onto our presentation. Oh, okay. So let's do that. And maybe momentarily. Good. Much anticipated. Oh. Hello,
Calimera,
Paul.
Athens. Hello, Merv. Hi, Nigel.
Were you, I don't know what it's been stressful for you, but we're delighted you made it to the stage. And there's a really big, I don't know what type of hello, Paul, I should use, but I guess we were looking at the report there and went through that. I guess you've been through the report yourself. Do you want to just tell us how you found it and whether it was useful in any way, maybe some of its accuracy? So I'll hand it to you, Paul.
Thanks, Merv. Apologies first. I was planning to be standing up, but I'm having to hide behind my laptop screen due to a rare phenomenon, the sun. The sun has completely obliterated my rooms. I'm having to crouch down so you can get at least a bit of an image from me. Toastmasters, as Nigel explained earlier on, really has this great structure to teach you the core skills of public speaking, and it's a well-structured. Toastmasters has been around for 101 years. It's always developing and bringing in new skills. But one entity which Toastmasters wasn't designed for was the online world. Because as Merv touched a minute ago, the skills required, the soft skills, talking on a stage and talking online are quite different. Talking, vocal variety, that's the same. But the two things which are probably the hardest for people to maintain is eye contact. So right now I'm looking at the camera, so I'm hoping you get the feeling that I'm looking at you. But if I was to look at the screen, so I can actually see myself and to see the background, I'm not looking at the camera anymore. So now it gives the impression that I'm not actually paying much attention. So you have to bring yourself back to the camera. And of course, you have a very small window. I was hoping to use a different camera, which would have given me a stage presence. See, straight away my arms have suddenly vanished outside of the screen. But because of the sun, I'm on a smaller camera. So you need to keep that dimension aware. So one of the tricks to do that is to try and have your picture behind the camera, because body language is such an important part of speaking, to convey information, to project your emotions. The evaluation that Merv and Nigel's tool carried out in my talk, Hello Paul, really, to me, hit three things which I was interested in. So the story was based on a true story, and I then added the vocal variety, as that was the theme of my presentation that I was trying to convey. Hello, Paul. Like I said, two simple words, so many different meanings. What was really clever with the tool is the fact that the tool, the AI, has picked up on those vocal varieties. It picked up that I was doing things differently. It picked up on my eye movement, my body language, in particular when I suddenly vanished off screen because I was treating it as a stage and I walked off camera, which was a cardinal sin, but I recovered. One of the slides that Merv showed you, the action plan, the action plan really replicated what the human evaluators came up with that evening, and also points that I know that I need to work on. One of my big areas that I have trouble with is pausing, and that's something a lot of people do, because It is so unnatural to pause, more so when you're online. That felt like an eternity to me, you know, because we have that natural need to always carry on talking. The tool picked all those up really, really well. And what I like in particular about the way the tool's constructed is you get a really good takeaway. You get some slides, you get the narrative, and where in a human interaction, you may get just a verbal evaluation, maybe some notes scribbled down. This kind of drills down quite well. And it picked up the fact that, you know, the key part of this was I was in a position where I had a job to do, but I also had a moral responsibility. The moral responsibility was looking after my trainee. That trumps everything else. People's health and welfare is far more important than the job.
Paul,
Yes.
I'm really sorry. I've just spotted the time. Toastmasters, all that. Can we perhaps finish on that? I think you've given us a really great sense. So I don't know if we can have the slides back. Let's go to... I know where we need to go. Let's go. I'm trying to get it to come off full screen. Had a few tech problems. Let's just... Why won't that come off full screen? Oh, here we go. Let's go back to here. Bear with me. Right. What I was going to do was finish this section, Paul, on just you mentioning a quick plug for your Toastmasters Club, and then we're going to zip on beyond that. So very quickly, on your club, I think, well, Paul's left the stage anyway. So let's say later on today, there is a hybrid meeting, not necessarily expecting to go to that, but there is a link should you want to go. The invitation extends well beyond that. We're gonna switch pace now in order to bring things back. We do want to get to presentation mastery. Let's put the code up again. Really not sure why it's disappearing each time. We can see that you're back in there. So let's take it away. Again, we're asking questions about yesterday. So in Christians, more ta-das, less to-do session, he encouraged us to focus on what? More to-das, less to-dos. Okay, we can see, oh.
Two right answers on this one, Merv.
Yes, indeed. So let's have a look at the answers. Oh, hang on, let's go back. Correct answer. Giving a why and on what's strong. So let's have a look in terms of times. We got any changes up front? Croc was the fastest, or is the fastest now, on the highest score. Croc, where are you? Well done. Let's see if we can keep that going. Okay, so let's switch from speech class, we spend a lot of time on, to presentation.
Well, maybe Merv, just do a little debrief on what we've covered in.
Oh, okay. Yes, sorry. Do you want to...
Yeah, so just very briefly then, what we've tried to share with you all, just on the Speechcraft side, are the various elements that Toastmasters could potentially help you with in terms of creating your why for your speech, the structure, and how to go about doing your content, and also how to connect with the audience. We talked a lot about eye contact, keeping the eye contact. You keep the eye contact, you get rapport. Rapport builds trust. Trust builds relationships. That's why it's really important in communication. What we're going to move on to now is the presentation mastery, how to effectively use visual aids. I have to say, after watching all the presentations yesterday, a very excellent high level of use. But we're just going to go into some best practice tips of what is considered to be good. But before we do that, and it was interesting, so on the car on the way over here this morning, we were talking about stress levels and all these apps and everything we've got. If you can manage your personal state on the stage, communicating, and you're in harmony with the technology, we believe you'll get this thing called an internal resonance, which is a pulse. You get that pulse steady, and you're able to perform here on stage. But we're going to move... should we move on past questions?
Yes, I think so.
We'll catch up in a little bit. Oh, we've got another question, so we'll go straight into that. Oh. And the question this time is going to be about, Lucilla's talk on green project management. Can anybody remember the 3 Ps? What the Ps were all about? Definitely one of them's people.
Yeah.
I think the other one's planet. Any idea what the third P might be?
Let's have a look.
Okay.
Okay. So, yeah, a lot of people got that right. What does that actually mean? Messi, the correct winner, the fastest. How does that relate to Messi has now taken over? Messi?
This prize is
Lionel
worth
Messi?
winning, by the way, so let's have good competition.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move on then to presentation mastery. And I'm sure we've all had the situation where we've done our slides, we think they're brilliant, but they just do not convey the message. Or, as we've tried to simulate here this morning, sometimes the tech can let you down, it all goes horribly wrong. So I'm going to, for the next segment, is tell you some interesting facts about hummingbirds, okay? So just taking it away from project management for a moment. And I think you'll agree to start with, that slide's not too bad, right? There's not much on there. Probably a bit too much white space. But now we're going to go into some interesting facts about hummingbirds. And there they are, okay? So right now, you're going to be doing one or two things. You're either going to listen to me, or you're going to read from the slide. But what you won't do both. So if you present a slide like this, automatically, you've lost half of your audience. Anyone agree? Anyone reading that, by the way? It's all true. It's all true, but some interesting stuff on there. But what I want to show you is perhaps a better way of presenting your slides. So let's go with this. Now, instantly, this looks a little bit better because, well, a bit of contrast, dark background. We've elevated the word hummingbirds. We don't need a massive, great title of everything. And now what we're going to do is a gradual build, not too overwhelming. The cognitive overload is not going to overwhelm everybody. This is quite nice, yeah? Learning a few things. I never knew it was a bouquet. No sense of smell. 330 species. The only bird able to fly backwards. How great is that? So would you agree that is a little bit better than the previous slide? Okay. Do you want to see what one stage better looks like? Okay. Sometimes you don't even need words. And do you want to see something even better than that? Does anybody know what's better than that? So for the next bit, if you want to be really excellent communicator, and I've actually written this down. I did this morning because I wanted to get it word perfect, but it might help. You just want to close your eyes for a second and just imagine. So, imagine a creature barely the size of your index finger, yet burning with colour in the emerald, ruby, and sapphire colours. Feathers that look almost dull until the evening sun catches them and they explode into liquid metal. Those tiny wings beat 80 times a second, not flapping, but humming. a sound like a large bumblebee crossed with a vibrating string guitar. It hovers with surgical precision, darts sideways in an instant, flies backwards, something no other bird can do. And it can also do something that actually defy the laws of physics. Something the laws of physics says is not possible. That is, it can fly upside down. But here's the thing. No one told the hummingbird. And so that metaphor is for you. If someone tells you something is impossible, just remember, be fierce, be small, be impossibly beautiful. Be a hummingbird. So the whole point of that is, yes, you do need visuals, and you need to get them contrasted, you need to cut down the words, give pictures, but there are occasions where just maybe a story would do. But from that, we're going to move on into the next part of the quiz. This might be a question about... So this was about my session yesterday. All the Ds, the competitive Ds, do we have them still in the room? You should get this answer correct, sir. What was the percentage of Ds in this room yesterday? Excellent, excellent. All the competitive Ds got that one correct.
Okay, what does that mean? Oh, we'll bypass that. We'll look a little later at what that means. So where I want to take you now is a game-changing YouTube that I watched, probably around 2017. And it was most inconvenient, but it was called How to Avoid Death by PowerPoint, by someone who's become something of a legend. I encourage you to watch it, and when people want to come and present to webinars, I always encourage them to watch it. So David J.P. Phillips has now had something like 4 million views online. And what he talks about in that is some design principles. There are 5 design principles that hopefully have been demonstrated by Nigel. So first of all, a single message per slide. Be very clear on what is it, the point that you actually want to get across. The magic number 6. If you see 6 of something, you immediately see 6 of something. If it's more than that, you find you start counting. So there's something instantaneous and very powerful about 6 or less. Avoid redundancy. This is very much where you're reading sentences on the screen. It's not good for your brain. It's difficult to actually concentrate on the message. Right size and focus. The way you can build slides or the way that you can dim back earlier builds. Really important. Where is it you want your audience to look? And then tone through contrast. I think we've seen that in the conference. It's often better to have a dark background rather than a purely white one. So it might be something to think about, but contrast is really powerful, particularly when it comes to things like accessibility with your slides. And there you've got it. There it captures precisely what the design principles are all about. So what we wanted to do was just to introduce you to our PowerPoint Impact Analyzer, which evaluates your slides for clarity, cognitive load, accessibility, and delivery impact. It's another Google gem, and it's working rather well. And what it does, it very much transforms your slides, and we talk about sliduments. So you get that into an effective presentation that cuts through. And we're going to take an example here of Nigel's presentation from yesterday. I don't think we've got time to flick through the presentation, which we would have done ideally, but hopefully this will resonate sufficiently. So first, and we're going to ask Nigel what he feels about this. So you've got here the overall summary of his slide and his overall PQI, Presentation Quality Index, 8.6, Nigel.
Is that out of 10 or 100?
It's out of 10. Out of 10.
So does anybody agree? Is 8.6 too high or too low? Too low? I think so, yeah. I'm just
Okay,
kidding,
let's have a look. And a couple of things on here. So first of all, Nigel, do you want to read your report?
Yeah, so cognitive load. So what I tried to do, albeit I actually did use light slides with a light background, but I tried to minimize all of the words, maximize the number of pictures. Makes it more interesting, you can create own images in your own mind based on that as well. So the accessibility is very easy to follow, I thought. This is my high C coming out now, of course. But is there any more on that, Merv?
No? Well, let's have a look at the next one. Rhetorical structure. So excellent use of curiosity, a really important speaking technique. Opportunity is?
Now here.
Nowhere.
Nowhere. So one things we haven't mentioned, but you've seen it across all the presentations you've seen here so far, it's best to start with a bit of a hook, get the audience engaged, get them on side, get some energy in the room, ask a question, make a statement, share a fact, share a story, all great ways of actually engaging and opening your speech. And then delivery supports, okay, a lot of it, because it was time sensitive on where the slides came up. I couldn't say too much before a particular slide came up or I'd give it away. That only really comes through practice. And practice, as we all know, makes...
Perfect.
Permanent is what I would say. Practice makes permanent. There is no such thing as perfect. I am a recovering perfectionist because I'm a high C, okay? So fellow C's in the room, believe me when I say that there is no such thing as perfection, but there is progress.
So next we look at things like slide word density, and you can see here the particular slides, but Nigel, the most words on any slide is 19. So it gives you a good guide, and that's a kind of borderline too many, but a good guide might be 30 tops. Critical insights. Let's do those very quickly. Death by PowerPoint avoided. DEC is a masterclass in visual anchors. Rhythm risk. Sequence-heavy disk trait slides require surgical timing to avoid cognitive fatigue. And clarity score, inferred from font size, consistently 24 plus, maximizing legibility. So we now here have a Mentimeter prompt card. So it says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how effective is the golden rule in modern project management? And another suggestion in relation to slide 61, in one word, what human skill can AI never replace? So it's something that Nigel could have done. Why don't we do that just very quickly? In one word, what human skill can AI never replace? And these answers will come up straight away. Someone might have to help us out. But
these are all the things that make us human, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like what I'm seeing. Yeah. Empathy.
And they all point to what I would call leadership traits, even the ones I can't pronounce.
Yeah. Okay. So you get the idea. Nigel could replace that with some more interactive Mentimeter slides and questions. There are no questions for myself, and that's fortunate because we've got limited time available. Agiliki's give me an indication.
Okay.
We've got 10 minutes. Fantastic. We'll slow the pace a little. We've got time for the last 2 quiz questions. So that's good. Timing is all important. So we're going to talk about another presentation you've seen. So how many have we got in here? 75, oh, hang on, 103 players ready, but slightly less avatars. Good. Let's see what we've got. What did Lorenzo ask us to do in his presentation? And more than once, I'd have to say.
And he did use the word waterfall quite a lot.
He did. Was it focus on waterfall, keep eye contact, or focus on annual deliveries? I suspect there's going to be a lot of correct answers here. Wowzers. Absolute wowzers. So someone's been a little mischievous there, I suspect, on the focus on annual deliveries. But well done, Lorenzo. You got your point across. So how does that affect?
So this is actually the penultimate question. So there's really something at stake here. So Christos in the room? Christos, you feeling the pressure? No pressure. No, you don't even know what the prize is. And Dragonite, who's Dragonite? Hi there, okay, excellent. In fact, the second prize is twice as good as the first prize. So you'd be happy to know that.
Okay, let's go on. So we'll just, again, build out this model for you. We looked at speechcraft, we looked at presentation mastery, and a number of elements in here. We looked at your PowerPoints, how you can create greater impact, how you can and should deliver them. And Nigel gave us a very good example of that with a hummingbird. We looked at some design principles that came from David J.P. Phillips, those SMART principles. And we look particularly, we haven't spent that much time on feedback and engagement, certainly the engagement through Mentimeter, or we engaged you when you stood up and clapped at the beginning. By the way, we're going to change that around. We'll make that as if it happened afterwards so that people think that that was the immediate response. And actionable insights. This information that we've got, the feedback, we can actually go further with that, either individually or further. So as speakers, we've got the feedback to moderate. And it's the audience experience that creates the impact. Typically, what we're looking for is some sort of change of behavior from the audience as a result of what they've said. If that doesn't occur, the value is perhaps very, very low. So that's what we're looking for in terms of the audience experience. It motivates them to do something else. So, Nigel, I think we've got a big reveal.
We have. I mean, after everything we've said in the couple of parts of the structure we've talked about, does anyone have any idea what the overlap area might represent, what the question mark might be? What sits between the two? Any ideas, anybody? Yes? Communication, yeah? They all begin with a C, by the way. I think it's something we've mentioned. So, yeah, thank you. Yes? Clarity. Courage. Courage is a good one that you need, absolutely, yeah. They all begin with C, yeah? Any other ideas? Yes. Do you just want to shout?
I can't.
Eye contact. Yeah. Does that begin with a C in Greek? I don't know. Yeah. No, eye contact is vital. In fact, now you've picked that up, eye contact is even more vital online. We spoke about online yesterday. Paul mentioned it a moment ago. You've only got the camera. Very often on Zoom calls or team calls, you'll see people with their eyes looking down to their notes or something else, some other distraction. But if you can maintain eye contact, which actually means you're looking down the camera and you're not actually looking at the screen, so you can't actually see what's going on. It's not, if you're in conversation, the best advice is to do that, because you can do something online with eye contact that you can't do in person. Because I can't look at everyone in this room all at once. I can just maintain it for a few short seconds and have to move on. But online, you can do it. And it's almost like having a one-to-one conversation with everybody on the Zoom screen or the Teams screen. That's just a quick point. But we'll probably cut to the chase on this one, Merv, I guess.
Okay, let's do that. So what we've put up there is communicate with confidence and clarity. So hopefully that's memorable. Communicate with confidence and clarity. And it's the confidence that will give you this internal resonance to enable you to get into flow or zone, which Lorenzo was telling us about. And then it's the clarity that actually provides the audience experience typically. And I think someone mentioned the connection, so we can certainly substitute other things in there. Okay, final question. I do wish this would come up just in case people have lost their place. So you've got to be in it to win it.
This is about triangles, this one.
As Lorenzo would say, are you ready? So, let's go. Yes, triangles. This one, here we go. This is for Francesco. What did the three sides of the triangles represent in Francesco's presentation? Language?
I think Francesca's looking at that and saying, none of those are right, Merv.
She's going to...
In fact, I think we've got VAR on the line here, Merv. I think there's a problem with these answers. But
I think we're okay. I think we're okay.
We're going to have to let it go because I'm not sure we wrote them down correctly. But
I think we're going to get a reminder a little later on. So it's no problem. Okay, so there we are. What does that actually mean? Let's click through. So our celebrated winner is... I don't think there was any catching Christos, to be honest. So
a round of applause for Christos.
Okay, fantastic.
Do you want to reveal, Merv, what the top prize is?
Oh, I think what we'll do is we'll offer to Christos, and also I don't know who Dragonite is. We can spend some time with you with our PowerPoint Impact Analyzer, our speech analyzer, and see if we can help some there. So a free use of our system and some coaching to boot. So that's what we'll do. But well done. So, okay, your key takeaways. Think back to the session aims. Your practical action plan for speaking powerfully, including Toastmasters. Best practice to gaining presentation mastery. Think Hummingbird. And your opportunity to gain an AI evaluation for your speech or your presentation. So what we're going to ask you now is to just spend a few moments and tell us what you have learned or will you do differently as a result of attending this session. So the responses are hidden at the moment, so we want to hear from you.
Or maybe the most important thing you've heard, or the thing that you're going to remember the most, or maybe the thing that has resonated the most in the last hour or so.
Okay, so we can see this building up. We would typically perhaps play a piece of music, but what I would just say about this killer question is I think it's probably one of the most important questions in any presentation, because it's the doing differently is really important. The behavioral change that something brings about, typically to create the value. Okay, so let's just quickly do a couple of things. Let's unhide the responses. And you can see them coming in. We've got some fantastic data from you guys. One of the things we can do, and I just will very quickly do it, is we can use AI to group those responses. So in any given scenario, we could actually do this. And I know the responses are still coming in, but you know, we can see that 16 of you say something about the presentation skills, 14 are talking about the eye contact, really important, the PowerPoint, the confidence, etc. So really useful feedback to us, and if we had more time, to yourselves as well. And they're really just picking up on the point about the feedback. We would love to receive your feedback, so we've got a short survey that follows this. And we'd really like to help you and evaluate your speech or your presentation slides. Hopefully that's something of an opportunity for you, but it then helps us in things like training our models. So there's the QR code, there's the link, etc. I'll leave that just there for one moment. I think Agiliki is about to come to the stage, so hopefully you've got that. You can complete that at your leisure.
And thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. They will both be with us until 1 o'clock, right?
Yes, yes.
And
yes,
then
indeed.
they have to catch their plane. Thank you very much
Very
for
welcome.
both days. Very interesting, very inspiring.
Thank you.
Ah, okay, you can do that now. Sorry. The Mentimeter.
Yes.
Okay. I was thinking about the speech evaluator, and I don't know if you have taken under consideration if someone is not a native speaker, because I understand that the evaluation has to do with the gesture and the posture and things like that, but maybe someone that is not a native speaker, as Francesca also mentioned yesterday, maybe someone has larger pauses or the flow of the speech is different. So can this be overcome? I mean, can someone overcome this by strengthening the other, like the gestures and the way that he's speaking? Or you have to master, I mean, your English at least, because the majority of the people, I mean, they don't have, in Europe, they don't have English like, it's not
a first
their
language.
language.
Yeah, it's a really good point, and it's very difficult to kind of train our model to, you know, we have the score that we could give for PowerPoint, because that's relatively easy. To provide a relative score for a speech is far more difficult. That's why we need to train our model. But I'm quite sure we can actually put specific questions or areas that we want to highlight about the speech, and then pull information out. And one further thing, as you saw with Paul, kind of almost, it's great to then be able to discuss that report. It's really important to discuss that, to have that kind of human intermediary to provide the feedback. If someone just reads the report blind, I don't think that's, you know, ever going to be useful. So,
Thank you very much. Θα βγούμε